What if I told you the impossible happens every single day on Earth? Forget everything you think you know about natural science, because I'm Mike with List 25, and I'm about to unravel 25 bizarre events that defy all logic and will leave you questioning reality itself. Prepare to have your mind blown. But before you do that, like, share, comment, subscribe, notification bell, all that fun stuff truly helps the channel. Thank you guys so much. Let's go blow minds. I'll blow your mind. 25. Pele's hair lava. For this one, we're traveling all the way to the gorgeous island of Hawaii. Lush greenery, stunning ocean views, and awe-inspiring native stories and culture are the heart of Hawaii, but it's not all lays and hula. There's something truly terrifying that happens at the mouth of the volcano. It seems lava is a bit more unnerving than you may think. Not only does the lava bubble and boil under the surface, but when airborne and lava droplets meet up with the wind, something disturbing happens that could have you running scared. The wind takes those fiery droplets and stretches them out to resemble long, thin strands of human hair. Sounds cool, right? It is. But it's also kind of scary. Locals call these delicate fibers Pele's hair, after the Hawaiian goddess of volcanoes. You can see this phenomenon happen in areas like Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, but don't get too close and definitely do not touch them. They may look like something out of a high-fae story, but they're hazardous to say the least. Because, it's literally lava. 24. Blue jets and red sprites. Have you ever heard of blue jets and red sprites? No? Well, let me tell you all about them. These are two types of transient luminous events, which are optical phenomena that occur in the upper atmosphere. These happen above thunderstorms and are triggered by lightning discharges. The red sprites are large red-orange glowing bursts with tendrils following behind. Sounds pretty magical, right? As for those blue jets, those are cone-shaped streamers that shoot upward from a thundercloud. These are rare sights for those of us here on the ground, but they aren't uncommon to witness if you're living on the space station. In 2017, scientists aboard the station witnessed 245 blue flashes in 160 seconds during one storm. While that sounds amazing to see, it's not so easy to study since each flash lasts just tens of milliseconds. 23. Fire rainbows. Who doesn't love a good rainbow? And even better is when you catch the rare double rainbow, but even rarer is if you catch a glimpse of the elusive fire rainbow. Yeah, I said fire rainbow. Despite the name, fire rainbows aren't actually rainbows or fire, but a rare phenomenon called the circumhorizontal arc. These bands of light that streak across the sky are often mistaken for rainbow clouds or flames, but are really just the effect of sunlight entering high-altitude cirrus clouds made of ice crystals. When light hits them at the exact right angle, a fire rainbow occurs. For this to happen, the sun has to be at least 58 degrees above the horizon, and the ice crystals have to be horizontally aligned so they can act as tiny prisms. The result is something straight out of a fantasy novel, and makes the clouds look like they're on fire. 22. The Hessdalen Light. The Hessdalen Lights appear as free-floating glowing orbs of various colors and shapes. They were first spotted in rural Norway in the 30s, and theories around their origin vary greatly. Some scientists believe they are an atmospheric phenomenon made up of ionized gas or plasma. Others theorize that they're the effect of piezoelectricity in quartz-rich rocks. Either way, their origin remains a complete mystery, as does the exact mechanism that causes these orbs. 21. Polar Stratospheric Clouds. Have you ever sat on the grass watching the clouds? It's fun to find super cool ones shaped like dinosaurs and elephants. What's more fun is traveling to Antarctica or northern Scandinavia and cloud watching there, because you might see a sight that'll have your jaw on the floor. In this part of the world, you can catch a glimpse of polar stratospheric clouds, termed nacreous clouds. These aren't just your regular fluffy white cotton balls in the sky. These clouds are rare and form during the extreme cold of polar winter when the temperature drops below negative 78 degrees Celsius. During these wickedly cold temps, water vapor and nitric acid condense into ice particles, which develop far above the weather layer of the atmosphere. What makes these clouds extra special is that when the sunlight hits them, They scatter their beautiful iridescent colors across the sky during the twilight hours in stunning pastel hues of green, purple, pink, and gold, often resembling mother of pearl. 20. Kelvin Helmholtz Clouds. Let's talk about another super cool cloud formation that's also awe-inspiring. The Kelvin Helmholtz Clouds. These form when two layers of air with different speeds and densities move past each other. When this happens, the clouds form in a pattern that looks like ocean waves breaking across the sky. You'll find these most often around jet streams, mountain ranges, and weather fronts where strong winds are common. Unfortunately, they only last for a few minutes, so don't blink when they form or you might miss them. What's even more interesting is that this is also the same way actual ocean waves are created. Just not in the sky. 19. The Green Flash. Have you ever gotten up before dawn to watch the sunrise? If so, you may have noticed the upper edge of the sun flashing green. No, it's not the Flying Dutchman. This is called the Green Flash, and it's actually quite rare to see. It happens because the Earth's atmosphere bends sunlight and splits it into different colors like a prism. As the sun dips down below the horizon, the shorter wavelengths that are blue and green are bent more than the longer ones that appear red and orange. The blue light is scattered by the atmosphere, and under the right conditions, the green light lingers for a second or two, causing the green flash. Or it could just be Will Turner coming back to land for the first time in 10 years, so that too. It's probably that. 18. Mammatus Clouds. Speaking of more clouds, we can't talk about them without also touching on the Mammatus Clouds. Named after the Latin word for mama or udder due to their appearance, they form from sinking air, which is the complete opposite of how other clouds are formed. These formations hang from the underside of the clouds, especially thunderstorm clouds, so you'll most often see them during severe storms. While harmless, their presence is an indication that the weather conditions are truly terrible. You may want to stay inside and have a pajama day when they come rolling around. 17. Horsetail Fall. To talk about our next bizarre fact, we have to travel to Yosemite National Park to check out Horsetail Fall. This waterfall is stunning on a good day, but for 2 weeks a year in mid to late February, it becomes a spectacular firefall. Yes, a firefall. This happens when the setting sun illuminates the falls during the snowmelt and turns the water from the crystal clear stream we're used to seeing to a brilliant orange-red tone. If you're planning a trip to the park, book it around that time, because this is definitely a sight you'll want to see. It sounds fire, right? Right? See what I did there? No? Okay. 16. Naga Fireball. Speaking of nature taking regular things and turning them into liquid fire, we're heading over to the Mekong River in Nong Khai, Thailand. Each year around October, at the end of Buddhist Lent, locals head to the river to check out the Naga Fireball Festival. It's one of the country's most intriguing celebrations. Locals and tourists sit on the edge of the river to watch glowing orbs arising naturally from the river and ascend into the air. These Naga Fireballs can be quite big, sometimes the size of a basketball, and they can shoot up as high as 600 feet into the air. According to the lore, Nagas are shapeshifters as described in Jainism, Buddhism, and Hinduism. In Thai folklore, they can take any shape they want, from human form to a serpent and everything in between. Scientists, however, claim that they're nothing but burning methane gas. Either way, it's still quite a sight to see, and should be on everyone's bucket list. 15. Brinicle. I've talked about things floating up from the water, but what about the scary things that are under the surface? And on this channel, I've talked about sea monsters, underwater black holes, and shipwrecks, but have you heard of a brinicle? No? Well then, allow me to give you another reason not to go deep sea diving. A brinicle is called the ice finger of death, and yes, it is deadly. So deadly, in fact, it turns everything it touches into ice. Is it Marvel's Iceman of the Sea? Sure, we can call it that. Or maybe like Ice Medusa or Ice Midas. Meistus. Either way, it's actually really scary. Brinicles form beneath the sea ice in the polar region. It happens when salty brine expelled from the sea is supercooled. The brine is denser than the water around it, so it sinks, and as it descends, it freezes the seawater surrounding it. This creates a hollow tube of ice that's so frigid it literally freezes anything it comes into contact with. I mean, imagine being a starfish or a sea urchin just out there minding your own business, and this weird sea icicle thing just touches you, and now you're encased in ice. Nature is truly a wild ride. 14. Underwater lakes. Speaking of brine, are you aware that there are brine pools that form underwater lakes? Yeah, a lake literally under the ocean. These dense bodies of water are found in depressions below the polar ice sea. They form as the seawater dissolves ancient deposits and creates a supersaline body of water that sinks to the ocean floor. On top of being a lake inside an ocean, they're highly toxic due to carrying a high concentration of chemicals like methane and hydrogen sulfide, which are lethal to most marine life. However, they also form unique ecosystems along their edges, so deadly and vital. Nice. That's not contradictory at all. 13. Hair ice. Oh, I'm sorry, did you think brinicles are scary sounding? Well, just wait until I tell you all about hair ice. This is a super rare and super delicate occurrence that happens when fine, silky filaments of ice are formed on dead wood during cold, humid conditions. You find these hairs in forests as ice grows thin. Some of these ice hairs can reach up to 20 centimeters in length and truly do resemble white hair or spun sugarcane. This isn't like frost. These fragile threads are a production of moisture inside decaying wood that's infected with the fungus Exodopius effusa. As the fungus is drawn out through the wood's pores and hits the cold air, this is the result. The fungus helps the freezing process and prevents water from forming a solid mass of ice chunks, so the ice has no choice but to form hairs instead. Also, unlike frost, hair tends to retain its shape for hours, unless something touches it. Any contact will cause them to completely fall apart. 12. Giant permafrost explosions in Siberia. We've all heard of permafrost. Places like Siberia are famous for being so incredibly freezing that it truly is a frozen tundra in places. But did you know permafrost can explode? Ooh, terrifying. Giant permafrost explosions happen when methane gas is released and forms large craters. This was first observed over 10 years ago in the Yamal Peninsula. Scientists discovered this shocking occurrence in 2014 and have since determined that this is a massive consequence of climate change. The warming of the Earth's surface is causing permafrost to thaw, which is destabilizing methane hydrates and salty cryopes. This rapid decrease in pressure and increase in temperature triggers the release of methane gas, which then explodes and leaves behind craters. 11. St. Elmo's Fire. One of the creepiest natural events you'll see quite often is St. Elmo's Fire. It's not really a fire though. It's a glowing blue or purple light that shows up on pointy objects during thunderstorms like church steeples, aircraft wings, and ship masts. It happens when the air is so full of electrical energy that it makes the air around the tips of tall, pointy objects appear to glow due to air molecules ionizing and emitting the glowy light. And not just glowing, but buzzing. People have reported hearing a cracking or hissing sound that accompanies the fire. Imagine seeing that at a church during a full moon. Now that would definitely seem like something out of a horror movie. St. Elmo's Fire. Good song. 10. Water spout. We've all watched footage of tornadoes ripping through towns and destroying everything in their path. It's super scary, especially when the destruction is extreme. What's even scarier, though, is a water spout. It's basically a tornado, but over water. This funnel-like cloud reaches down from the sky to touch down on the water's surface. And now, there are two types. The weaker of the two is the fair weather water spout, and less dangerous and doesn't really last long. However, water spouts are just as dangerous as land tornadoes. They can flip larger boats, damage ships, and if they reach land, watch out. They will tear up houses, buildings, and power lines just as harshly as the ones you see on the news. 9. Virga. Another natural phenomenon that shouldn't really exist is Virga. This is when rain or snow starts falling from a cloud but never actually reaches the ground, and instead vanishes on its way down. Virga often looks like faint streaks or wisps hanging from the bottom of a cloud, almost like a thin tail. This happens when rain or snow comes into contact with warm air on its way down and begins to evaporate mid-air. This is most common in places with desert lands and is a big concern for pilots because it means strong air currents are happening in the sky. This invisible rain can cause a microburst of strong blasts of wind that hit the ground and spread in all directions, making landing a plane even more difficult than it already is. 8. The Belt of Venus. Now let's get into the Belt of Venus. This is the pink glow you can sometimes see in the sky just after sunset or before sunrise. You'll notice it just a little above the horizon. This happens when the sun goes down and the Earth's shadow starts rising in the sky as a dark bluish band. Above that shadow, the leftover light scatters in the atmosphere and turns the sky a rosy color. You'll be able to experience this best if you're looking at the sky when it's clear and you have a wide view, such as over the ocean, in a desert, or over the mountains. 7. Ice gems on Hokkaido's coast. If you thought the most beautiful shiny objects you would ever see are inside a jewelry store, well, think again. Let me introduce you to Hokkaido, Japan, where the beach literally sparkles like a diamond. Locals in the area call it jewelry ice, which actually is the perfect name for this phenomenon. How does it happen, you may ask? Well, in the winter, chunks of ice break off from the Tokachi River and make their way floating into the Pacific Ocean. When the waves toss them around for a bit, the ice gets smoothed out and starts looking an awful lot like giant see-through crystals. Then they wash up on Otsu Beach and scatter across the sand like a display case that Mother Nature set up herself. Adding to this is how the ice gems catch the light. During sunrise, they glow orange and gold, as if someone dumped a treasure chest on shore. As the hours tick by, they turn glassy and clear and appear like oversized diamonds. As you might expect, the weather needs to be just right for this to go down. So, if you want to add this to your bucket list, you need to book your trip between mid-January to late February. Just don't try to put one of those diamonds on as a ring unless you like having really cold fingers. Damn, that's when I was in Japan, but I was up in Tokyo. I didn't go to Hokkaido. I missed it. 6. Awa Sand Pillars. If you thought sand was just for beaches, think again. In Tokushima, Japan, things get rather ambitious in this department. If you travel over to the Awa Sand Pillars, you'll see a whole host of giant sand towers that look oddly like the ruins of a lost city. Over tens of thousands of years, layers of sand and volcanic ash mixed together and were slowly carved by wind and rain. The softer sand washed away, and the hard bits stayed put and formed these tall pillars. Walking amongst them can feel a bit like wandering through a mysterious ancient world. Honestly, it's hard not to be impressed when something as simple as sand can pull off these kind of dramatics. 5. China's egg-laying mountain. Have you ever heard of a mountain laying eggs? It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie featuring a giant chicken, but it's definitely not, and it's definitely real. There is a cliff in Guizhou, China, that produces huge round stone eggs that weigh hundreds of pounds. Researchers claim they are formed from tiny particles like silicon dioxide that slowly clump together over millions of years. As the softer rock around them erodes, the giant rocky orbs stay and create nature's own slow-motion magic trick. These stone eggs aren't just cool to look at, they're sacred. To locals, they symbolize luck and protection. Generations of families pass them down and tell stories about them. My house growing up, I just had a bunch of rotten oranges from our orange tree. They'd fall sometimes, so definitely didn't pass those down to my... 4. The Boka Waterfall Disappearing Act. Are you aware that there's a waterfall that can go from full-on Niagara Falls mode to almost nothing at all? That's exactly what the Boka Waterfall in Slovenia is like. Nestled in the Julian Alps near the Socha River, this waterfall has two very dramatic stages. The first is the upper falls that plunge about 106 meters, and the lower one that adds another 33. What makes this fall weird, though, is how it literally ebbs and flows. The waterfall is fed by an underground spring, which makes it at the total mercy of the weather. When it rains, or there's a heavy snowmelt, you can expect the water to be rushing down. However, during the dry season, it's merely a tiny trickle at best, sometimes completely disappearing. One moment you're staring at a torrent, and the next, there's nothing. Nada. Boka is the perfect reminder that nature really can keep you guessing. If you ever do get a chance to visit Slovenia, make sure to check out these falls more than once on your trip, because chances are it'll look quite different each day. 3. The moving islands of Loktak Lake. Ever heard of a lake with moving islands? Look no further than Loktak Lake in Manipur, India. No, this isn't a video game. This is real, and it's actually amazing. Manipur is home to floating islands called pumdis, which are thick mats of plants and soil that just float. It's nature's giant version of a drifting lily pad. The biggest of the bunch is especially famous because it's home to the Kaibu Lamjau National Park. Imagine going for a day of sun and playing in a literal free-moving water park. And not only does it host the world's only floating park, it's home to an endangered species. Here, you'll find the brow-antlered deer, which prefer life on the water to life on solid land. 2. The boiling lake. Want to avoid going for a swim and getting boiled alive? Yeah, you'll definitely want to avoid going to nature's giant tea kettle located in Mont Trois-Pitons National Park in Dominica. This stunning lake is about 60 meters long and is surrounded by steep cliffs and gorgeous views. But make sure you're only there for the views. These waters won't just warm your heart, they will scald you. Its surface is constantly churning and steaming. That's because this latte sits atop a volcanic vent called a flooded fumarole. The cracks in the Earth's crust allow extremely hot gases to escape, and rainwater and groundwater seep in to meet that heat. The magma that is beneath the island cranks the temperatures to a near boiling point, up to 92 degrees Celsius. That's hot enough to cook an egg. And your skin. Adding to the intrigue is the ghastly gray-blue color us millennials know and love. Don't be fooled though. It is not inviting you in. It's terrifying, and you shouldn't even try to dip your toe into this pool. 1. The Hinatuan Enchanted River. Have you ever looked at water so blue it belongs in a movie about magic? If you haven't, you may want to add a trip to the Hinatuan Enchanted River in the Philippines to your bucket list. Nestled in Mindanao, this river is famous for its insanely clear waters that look sapphire blue and seem to almost glow all on their own. The water is so clear that fish look like they're floating mid-air. Local legend says these fish are supernatural guardians, which may actually be right, since they've never been caught by fishermen, despite a whole lot of effort over the years. And the gorgeous color isn't even the coolest part. Despite divers going as deep as 80 meters into its caves, they have yet to reach the bottom. Nobody knows how deep this river is. If you do take a trip there, make sure to check out the daily ritual known as the Hymn of the Enchanted River. Music plays while you feed the fish, and it's one of the most mystical experiences you can witness. It's beautiful, it's bizarre, and it's impossible not to get caught up in its natural magic. And that's all I have for you today. Which one of these natural events did you know about, and which one surprised you? And actually, which one are you convinced shouldn't exist at all? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, be sure to check out our other one, 25 simple yet mind-blowing facts to tell your kids. I'll link it here and also in the description below. But before I go, I do have a trivia question for you. Which of these trees is famous for being so big that it's basically a forest in one tree and can live for thousands of years? Is it A, baobab, B, sequoia, C, bonsai, or D, palm? That's it for today, friends. As always, like, share, comment, subscribe, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys next time. Also, if you've ever been to any of these, let me know. Well, I guess Ben. If you've seen any of them, or Ben, if it was a place or a thing, you know what I mean. Don't go in the boiling lake. Don't do that.